All right. Welcome back to Batman at the Movies. This is episode 14, our final episode. The time code for today's episode is 2 hours and 5 minutes. Just straight to the end of the movie. We're finishing it off. I'm joined today by Citizen, and Shenmue is also here. Citizen did some math here. We've talked just over 15 hours.
Wow.
So I think this is the longest time it's ever taken me to watch a movie. About a year, about a year of recording. It's taken me to watch this whole movie again. But yeah, I'm glad to be here.
All right then, let's begin. It's a new day in Gotham City. William Earl returns to Wayne Tower only to find that he no longer has a job. Bruce Wayne has brought up all the company's shares during the recent stock offering and now owns a majority stake in Wayne Enterprises. His first act was to fire Earl and install Lucius Fox into his vacant position.
Pretty satisfying, actually, isn't
I
it?
wish it weren't like this in the real world, do you?
Same, definitely. And I
Like,
love how Fox looks quite smug on this. He's just like, "Oh, you didn't get the memo."
yeah, he's repeating what Earl said to him when he fired him.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, karma.
It's great.
Unfortunately, in the real world, executives they tend to fail upwards, don't they? Or even when they do get fired, they get their golden parachute. Do you think?
Yeah, and then they get a ton of money so that they leave, and then they just go and work at another place, be another exec, and do the
Yeah.
same again. And so the cycle continues.
Do you think Earl got a golden parachute?
I don't think he did here, no. I think Bruce didn't follow the normal conventions
Hmm.
in this situation. But how does that golden parachute, as you call it, how does that even happen? Like, is there actually a legal requirement for that, or is it just so that people don't kick up a fuss?
It's written into your contract, so you'll negotiate a contract when you join the company or reach a specific position. And then that will essentially ensure that should you get fired for doing an absolute terrible job, you'll leave with a severance pay of millions of dollars.
Wow, that's
So
crazy, though, isn't it?
I'm assuming Earl got that because he would have written that for himself. He's
Yeah.
the kind of guy that would sort of plan for all contingencies. Of course, he didn't see this one coming. Probably because Wayne
Yeah.
pretended to be a fool, didn't he? He completely overlooked Bruce's intentions.
See, this is why I always act as a fool all the time, so that people think I'm actually, people think I'm an idiot. Not because I actually am or anything, but
Yeah.
so I can get people off their guard.
Not only are you a genius, but you're also a consummate world-class actor
Exactly, yeah.
of theatre and
No one would
stage.
ever know. Yeah.
Yeah. Bruce Wayne got bumped to page 8. Alfred appears to have reconciled to the fact that Bruce is the town clown now.
Yeah.
A few episodes back,
We were discussing Alfred's displeasure with Bruce pretending to be a fool and ruining his own reputation and that of his family. And he was concerned about his parents' memory.
Yeah.
And he sort of berated Bruce for his actions.
Was quite emotional about it, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, it was just before Bruce went into the party.
Yeah.
But at this point, in this scene, he seems quite happy.
Yeah.
So he seems to have come around on the fact that, Bruce has got this reputation now. Thought that was interesting. So what happened? What changed for Alfred?
Maybe he's just come to terms with it. Maybe he's just like, yeah, I don't think there's any changing the way this guy's gonna think.
As far as I can recall, in the sequels, when Bruce is acting a fool in those movies, Alfred doesn't berate him then either, does he? I
Yeah,
think
no, I don't think
I
so,
don't
no.
think he ever does again. Not for acting like a fool. He reprimands him for other things, but not for this sort of playboy, bumbling clown act. Because previously Alfred was like, look, I agree with what you're doing as Batman. I acknowledge that it's important, but can you not do it in a way that doesn't also tarnish the family reputation? Is there no other
Yeah.
way? And obviously, we've seen other versions of Bruce Wayne that doesn't act like the Fool, so he isn't doing damage. I think in like Michael Keaton's version, he doesn't
Yeah,
really act like
yeah.
the Fool. Or Val Kilmer, he doesn't act like an idiot. Or George Clooney.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't have to do it this way, but I kind of like this version though, actually, in that respect. It is actually working in a weird way. So I guess he's like got some confidence in him.
Perhaps when Alfred considered the scale of what Bruce Wayne accomplished, saving the entire city, perhaps he thought, you know, maybe I should cut Bruce some slack. Perhaps he does know what he's doing.
Yeah.
And maybe they've had a chat off screen where Bruce has sort of assured him that this is a temporary thing and that like his mission is finite, unlike the other Batmen, and that in a few years' time he'll be done with Batman. And at that point, he can also put aside the bumbling clown act as well and then start to repair Bruce Wayne's
But
reputation.
I never believed in that though, actually. Like I know that yeah, there is a theme in these movies of him not always being Batman. Um and like, you know, as in like you just said, like he's gonna retire kind of thing. I never saw that as a thing. I never really believed it. Did you? I don't know. But then obviously, spoiler alert, that obviously does happen. And it feels wrong to me, even though I guess
I
it
think
was
I
always
didn't,
projected like this.
Nolan was consistent with it.
He was consistent, yeah, but it just still doesn't feel
I
right.
didn't, I didn't accept it at the time with this movie because
Yeah.
I always thought that as time goes on in sequels, that Bruce would change his outlook and he would come to the realization himself that the mission will never end.
Batman retiring just doesn't make sense because there's always going to be some new weird, wacky guy causing terror around Gotham, so I don't think he'll ever be done.
Exactly. Yeah.
But this Batman, he's primarily concerned with large scale organized crime. He feels that once he takes down the corruption and crime of mob bosses and the corruption in the police department and the judge's office and so forth among the elected officials, once he roots out those people and new people can be installed that are not corrupt, that the city won't need Batman anymore and that the normal police officers can take over then because they'll be dealing with normal crime at that point. That's what Bruce in these films believes.
But like, obviously, how would you ever really get to the point of like no corruption as well, right?
Well,
Like, even if you stopped it for a while.
normal cities aren't as corrupt as Gotham, though. Like Chicago, New York, London, they're not.
Right, I
The
see. Yeah,
police
yeah.
department isn't corrupt. The judge isn't corrupt, is he? Like we don't have like as far as I know, it's not that bad. Even the mob, you can severely curtail them. Even the police have been able to do that, and they've not needed a Batman. The comic book version of Batman, and the one that we see in other movies, is that Bruce believes that if he failed to go out just one night and patrol the city, on that one night he chose to stay at home for whatever reason, a child just like him could lose their parents because he wasn't there to stop it.
Ah, yes. So he's
And
like
he
got the
can't
PTSD from
bear,
his childhood
yeah,
and
he
such.
can't
Yeah.
bear that. And so he's like, not on my watch. That's the Batman of the comics. And
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
version that
totally.
I prefer. The Batman of the comics, he doesn't limit himself to large scale crime and corruption. He's interested in the street level crime as well. He's interested in the common thug, mugger, rapist, any crime.
Yeah,
Someone
yeah.
just stealing a car radio, he'll stop them. If he's in the area, he'll deal with that as well while he's there. No
But
crime too small
it's
for
a bit
Batman.
like you said though as well though. I feel like even when this was happening on the movies, in these movies, I felt like he would or at least like now thinking about it right now, like I'm like it still makes sense to me that after seeing how bad even just the regular crime is, he can't help but just carry on with it, you know?
Well, that's what I thought would happen. And
Yeah.
he's saying this in this movie
And
when he
I
says
didn't
it
believe
to.
him because of that.
No, I didn't. I thought, oh, you're just being naive, Bruce.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
in the next film or the film after, at some point in the future, you'll come to the realization that you cannot stop, that the war will never be over.
I feel like that's such a weird thing to do with any kind of superhero type character to be like, yeah, I'm going to end at this point. Like, because they always struggle with that. I guess it's a different type, a different thing to go for. But I don't know. I feel like it's normally a struggle, right, with any kind of superhero-y type person, where it's
I
like,
feel like
how do you stop?
I
You
don't
know,
want to
when do you
be
draw the line? You know?
I don't want to be harsh on Nolan, but I feel that it's a little bit of pride and even a little bit of selfishness is involved because I feel like he felt that this is my Batman and this is my universe that I've created. And when I decide to leave, Batman ends with me. I don't want another director to come in and take over and to have Christian Bale or another actor play Batman and continue the series into a fourth, fifth, sixth, or
Right.
whatever film.
Yeah.
Nolan was like, when I go, the toys go with me. And, you know, I can understand it, honestly. I can understand like creating something that you're proud of and being very worried that the next person that comes in won't do a good enough job and that they'll ruin what you've created. So I can understand that.
Yeah, but I'm almost surprised that like Warner signed off on that.
Yeah, but I think it isn't, they hadn't signed off on that at this point. I
No,
think,
no, but like by the end of it, like I'm
yeah, by
surprised
the
that
third
they.
film, they must have agreed to that. In fact, Nolan made Christian agree to him, swear to him, make a promise that he would not play Batman ever again for another director.
Oh my God, I did not know that.
Yeah, they made a pact. They made a
That's
pact together.
crazy. Oh my God. That's kind of a bit like, I don't know. I also don't want to be mean about it, but like I feel like that's a bit pathetic though, right? I don't know. Like it feels like a bit like a bunch of teenagers, right, doing a blood pact. Like, no, you know, you can't be Batman for anybody else and all that. Like, I don't
Well,
know.
Christian agreed with it
Yeah,
because
I guess
I do
so.
remember at
Oh
one
man.
point Christian was asked in an interview if he would like to return as Batman in a future installment, and I seem to remember him saying that he would like to play Batman again, but he said he wouldn't do it without Nolan, and that he promised
Oh man.
Nolan that he wouldn't do it without him. And he said if Nolan one day in the future decides that he wants to bring Batman back and he gets the phone call, he said he'll be there.
Oh wow.
So I've always wondered, I mean, I know that Nolan's since had the falling out with Warner Brothers, but and then vowed never to work with them again. But that was an old regime. They're all gone now, those executives. And I've always wondered, like, 20 years later, maybe even 30 years later, they do a sort of Dark Knight Returns type storyline where you get an aged like Christian Bale and Alfred's died and things haven't worked out with Selena for whatever reason, and he returns to Gotham, and you know, there's a storyline where he becomes Batman again. Like I've always wondered if that might happen one day. Not saying that Nolan has
Definitely
planned it or
possible.
or
Yeah.
even thought about it, but you can't rule it out, can you?
No, because time changes everything, right? And like you said, it's not even the same people anyway. But even if it was, I feel like, you know, when people say stuff like that, like you really mean it at the time, but
And you don't
time
know.
makes everything, time puts things into a different perspective where like grudges that you had before feel so meaningless over time, right?
I mean, I don't want to get into the third film because we'll talk about it at one point, but the way that film ends, it's like Nolan did all he could to ensure that Christian couldn't return.
Did feel like that,
He took
yeah.
away Bruce's wealth. he gave away his home, he gave away his suit and his vehicles, so he's doesn't mean he
I
can't
think that's
return.
why again, like you said, it would be cool to actually talk about this as a proper thing for the third film, but I think that's
Yeah,
why I really
should
struggle with
probably
that.
leave it till then.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he could return, right? He could live in the city once again, in the penthouse, like he did in the second film, if he wants to.
It would be weird doing another Dark Knight movie though, now.
I only mean Dark Knight in the looseness of senses, of just that it's an older Bruce Wayne
Yeah,
donning the
yeah.
cape and cowl again. That's it. That
No,
nothing
I know what you
else
mean,
would be
yeah.
carried
But
over from that graphic
don't you
novel.
think it would still be weird though? Like to
I don't know.
do.
I could see a lot of excitement for that, a lot of nostalgia, at some
Yeah,
point. If the timing's just right, who knows? It happens at just the right time.
yeah, true, true. Like on an anniversary or something. The
Yeah,
Dark Knight Returns. That would be a good name for the movie
yeah,
as well, actually.
yeah. It would be. Despite being Batman for some time now, Bruce finally decides to board up an egress into his secret underground headquarters.
Yeah.
I would have thought that would be like one of the first things you do. As soon as you have discovered the cave and made the decision to move in there and start storing things down there, you would have blocked up this entrance straight away.
Yeah, he's had a lot of time.
And I feel like you should probably use a bit more than just like a few boards.
Well, this is just temporary, right? Because he's got builders
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
estate. And also, how long has he been back, man? A couple of weeks? He hasn't even got his
Yeah,
cave
yeah.
kitted out or anything yet. It's very, very early days. So
True.
it's a little interesting to me that all he had to do was slap a few boards on there and he didn't.
Exactly. Yeah, then he called it a day.
But then who's going to be wandering round, right? Even if he had someone come to the front of the house, no one's going to be going down the back of his garden, are they?
True. Yeah.
I don't think you could see it from the top of the well either. You can only see it if you went down there. And who's going to go down a well?
True.
It's
I
it's
guess it
kind
makes
of the
sense.
difference between the Batman of the comics, who's always 5, 10 steps ahead of everyone else. He's thought of every contingency compared
Yeah.
to like the more realistic Batman that we find in this movie, who's clever and he thinks things out, but he's not this elite genius level that the comic book is.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, he's a bit more like normal in that
And I
respect.
prefer this version that has to rely on other people to aid him. Like I like the fact that he needs Alfred and Lucius and then other
Yeah.
people, that he can't just do everything on his own. He can't build his own Batmobile. I
I
like
like that too. I like that a lot. You can do some of this stuff, but I feel like it's more believable with a team of people, yeah, that are helping you out.
which actress do you prefer to play Rachel? Is it Katie Holmes or Maggie Gyllenhaal?
Uh, I don't know. Hmm, maybe Maggie. Uh,
Tough decision.
it
Do
is. I feel like probably Maggie though.
you think
Yeah,
Maggie's the better actress?
yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I actually prefer Katie. Maggie might
I
be the
mean,
better actress, but I do prefer Katie. It might just be because she was the first though, and I formed an
yeah,
attachment to
yeah.
her, so it just might be that. I'm not sure.
I think looks wise, I might prefer. She's definitely good looking, but she's it's just a little bit plain on the acting, I feel like. I don't think it's just the acting. I think the script here is a bit, it's like very poetic, right? It's like it's straight out of like a theatre production rather than like a movie.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like how normal people talk, does it?
No, no, like and then I found out about your mask, and then no, not that one, this one, and all that. It's like no one talks like that, right? Like, I mean, I'm not. It's not. It's fine, right? Because movies can be, very theatrical, and that's totally fine. But there's no way that anyone would ever say that, right? And act like that, and then because she's like, she kisses him first before she says that, and all that. It's all like, no way.
Yeah, I think she wasn't served well with the dialogue, was she, in this
No,
scene?
exactly. So I feel like it's a bit mean in a way of me to say that she's not as good at acting because with that script, anyone would struggle to to say those lines in a good way. I think it's a little bit cringe, but there's nothing wrong with being a bit theatrical though. Sometimes I think.
I never found her exceptional in the movie.
No.
Much of the film, I think she did a decent job, and there are moments where it's quite bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think she has a lazy eye here? They don't seem quite aligned.
One eye does look a little bit different to the other. Left eye looks bigger than the right eye. Is it just the lighting though?
It could just
That's
be the
why.
angle of the camera and the lighting, and it just gives it a weird effect.
Yeah, might be her reaction to that light.
Now, we've alluded to this before, but Rachel says, "This is your mask," touching his
Oh
face.
yeah, yeah.
The real one is the
Not that
criminals.
mask, this mask.
She says, "The real one, the criminals now fear. The man I
Yeah.
loved, the man who vanished, he never came back at all."
It's like a theatre production, right? But I like it though. I mean, it's fair enough. Like
Yeah,
it's not like it's just not at all how people talk, like at all.
yeah.
But I don't dislike it though. It's just a little bit
Now, with the comic book
yeah.
Batman, I would agree with that statement that Rachel makes, but is that applicable to this version of Batman? He's more well adjusted than the other Batman. He's got a timetable, a very specific,
Timetable, yeah.
but he expects it to last like a year or two, I guess. He doesn't see this going on for the rest of his life. He thinks, I'm going to deal with these problems and then hand the city back into the hands of the
Yeah.
proper officials, let them deal with it, and then he can then pick up his relationship with Rachel, marry her, live happily ever after in his castle.
Yeah. He's
That's what
booked it
Rachel.
all in Google Calendar, right? He's like, this is gonna happen here, this is gonna happen here, and then my retirement will be here. But that's what I mean though. I just find that hard to believe because I feel like someone who would be so obsessed with doing all of this would just get too like almost like addicted to it, really.
Well, that is the Batman that we were presented with in the previous movies. Remember, there was a scene in Batman Forever where Bruce is talking to Dick and he's relating his own experiences of going out there, dealing with the Joker, and yet when the Joker was no longer around, he found that his pain didn't go away, that he then had to find a new bad guy to fight. And that's part of that addiction that Bruce Wayne and the Bruce Wayne of the comics has to deal with, that nightly need that can never be satiated.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like the man who returned to Gotham is a radically different person than the one that left it. The man who returned has training and he's more focused. He knows exactly what he wants to do now, where the man who left was lost, wasn't he? He was like, I want to do something. I've got all this anger and all this pain, but I don't know what to do with it. But the man who returns is focused and has a mission, but he's still the same Bruce. It's not like the comic book Batman or the Batman on the other movies that comes back and he's like, it's all about the mission. No time for a happy ending. No time for a personal life. No time for anything other than Batman. It's all about Batman. This version isn't that, is it?
No.
You can see the England countryside, can't you? Very, very obviously English countryside.
I wonder with Americans, do they look at that and think nothing of it? Or are we just particularly sensitive to it because we live here?
I can kind of tell this was not a scene filmed in America. I wonder if it's me just saying this because obviously I have visited the UK and I also know that this movie was not filmed in America. So maybe
Uh,
that's like influencing it. But
Yeah.
like if you were to give it to maybe a general audience, like a general American audience, like if I was to show this to my dad, I'd be like, would you say that's an American countryside? He'd probably say yeah. Maybe those two factors have kind of influenced my answer here.
Rachel says she's proud of Bruce. Are you surprised by this? Because she previously disapproved when Bruce planned on killing Joe Chill. While Bruce isn't killing
Yeah.
anyone, he is a vigilante and he is breaking the law and denying people their legal rights. Being an assistant district attorney, I would have expected her to feel that Bruce should work within the system.
I mean, that's true. But then not everyone like completely conforms to what their role is, though, right?
She was very
But
idealistic earlier in the movie.
true. Yeah.
I guess now she just doesn't care. I guess maybe she finds it attractive now.
I think that maybe that's the thing with a lot of this stuff is like, and that's the problem with like a movie versus like a TV show or something, is like you're trying to grow a character like that and change the way she looks at something in a very, very short space of time. And it feels a bit off, right? So like her being more idealistic and now being a bit more realistic potentially, it feels a bit weird, right? Because it's like it was only like half an hour ago that she's saying one thing. Do you know what I mean? I know
Well, half an
time has
hour for
passed.
us, weeks for them.
Yeah. Is weeks enough to change your perception on that?
But look at the experience that she's lived in that time.
True.
She's found out that the system is completely broken. She didn't realize how bad it was before, even though her boss Carl had warned her. And
Mm,
then she found out that her boss had been murdered at the docks.
yeah,
And then this entire city was almost destroyed in a terrorist attack.
that's
And,
true. That's
and
true. A
if
lot has happened
and
to
if Bruce hadn't have
her.
intervened as Batman, everyone would be gone now. So
Right. Yeah.
I think those experiences have changed her, where she's like, I see you as a necessary force.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I guess that's also a little bit like Alfred, right? Where he's like, you've been a bit of a fool and everything was bothering him, but now he's kind of seeing it a different way a little bit. Like it's the same kind of thing where it's like events have unfolded that maybe change people's perception a little bit.
Bruce states his intention to rebuild Wayne Manor just the way it was, brick for brick. And Alfred says he sees an opportunity to improve the foundations in the southeast corner. How do you think they go about that and maintaining the secret of the Batcave?
Hmm.
That's I don't know. They're obviously not going to be building this themselves.
That's the question. How do you do it? If you hire someone to do it, how do you maintain secrecy?
Maybe pay him off, say don't say anything.
So you're going to hire some private contractors to build you a secret entrance, a brand new modern elevator shaft going down into a cave. And are they going to install some stuff in the Batcave for you as well? By the third film, the armor and the computer system all raise up out of that water, don't they?
Yeah,
Did Bruce pay some private contractors to do all that work for him, or did he do it himself? Because Alfred couldn't have helped. He's too old.
absolutely not. I don't think he would be able to do that all on his own.
It is the perfect opportunity to do this because the house is burnt down to the ground. You've got access to all this in a way you never had before, right? You can clear all this rubbish out of the way. If you bring in machinery, no one's going to think anything of it. If Bruce has got a crane there and other heavy machinery, anyone nearby are just going to be like, oh, it's to do with rebuilding the house. It's not going to raise any suspicions. Even materials. If you've got deliveries coming of steel and concrete, again, no one's going to think anything of it. They're going to be like, well, it's to do with rebuilding the house. It's just who physically builds it.
I genuinely don't know.
I feel like it'd be very difficult.
He would have to do everything himself.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah,
I can't even
that,
see him doing it on his own, man. Like that's a lot.
yeah, I think so. I think realistically, you need help, don't you?
Yeah. To hide a secret that big would be kind of crazy.
If he gets help, then who's helping him? It's certainly not going to be Alfred. Alfred's too old. Lucius can't do it. Can't see him sitting behind crane controls, lowering down beams of steel. I can't work it out. I don't know how he do it.
I don't think I could work it out either.
So the three of us cannot come up with something. Well, let's all give it some thought. And hopefully, by the time we get to recording our Dark Knight Rises commentary, we'll have come up with a plausible solution.
We'll do it eventually.
One day.
A more grounded, realistic bat signal.
Man, 89's one literally looks like it's like a badge in the air, like a hard plastic, which fits the vibe of that movie.
They've
But
got a little bit more real by the time you get to Batman Forever, because they start to add a bit of clouds and things to it, but it was still fairly clear, you know. But with this one, with Batman Begins, it's their attempt to make it look as realistic as they possibly can.
yeah, because it's interesting how here it's not as clear as it, like it's a bit faded, which is obviously a bit more realistic. I mean, it's very Nolan, isn't it? Trying to make a particular concept that is in comics and comic book movies into something that's sort of realistic.
Yeah, Koob and I discussed the possibility of building a bat signal in real life back in episode 7, I think it was. So if you're interested in finding out if it's actually possible to do such a thing, check out that episode if you've missed it.
I think it's cool that you guys actually considered that. That's cool. In this case, I actually really like the fact that he's made something that's at least a bit more believable, right? Even if it's not actually a real thing you could do. What do you think? Do you prefer this or
I kind of prefer the more clear version, maybe Forever or something like that. Somewhere in between.
on this scene? I really like how you can see he's become more confident. He's happier with how things have gone. Like even the way he talks. Before he was a little bit more beaten down, I guess is the best way to describe it. He's really got some confidence from this, and I think that's pretty cool to see that contrast.
And I think Bale looks particularly good in the suit in this scene.
I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. I think he looks really good in this scene.
Yeah, he does.
On the
Yeah,
wide shots and on the close-ups, he looks the best he ever looks in the suit in this movie, I think, in this scene.
he looks badass. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks so much cooler.
This signal is supposed to be on the top of police headquarters, but it looks different than the rooftop that we see in The Dark Knight.
I know, I was thinking that. Kind of odd that it's moved.
Maybe he was at a different precinct because they have different precincts, right, in Gotham.
Yeah, that could be it.
He gets
Yeah.
transferred in the sequel to a different precinct.
He says lieutenant. Well, I guess they could transfer a lieutenant around.
He also gets a major promotion between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight as well to the MCU, the Major Crimes Unit.
Maybe he moved because he would have got a wage increase and maybe he could afford a better place to live. And he moved to a
Oh
better
yeah,
part of the
maybe.
city and then to a different precinct. So in America,
Okay.
how many precincts would you have in a major city like this, in something like Chicago?
I genuinely have no idea. I've never lived in a major city.
I just Googled this. Chicago has 22 police districts.
Okay.
It says each of these districts operates a dedicated station.
But man, how does he lug this thing across there then as well? I guess he'd have to do it in the middle of the night and like but it's like you know what these rooftops are like, right? It's just stairs going up there and everything. There's no elevator normally.
He
So
obviously had to get someone to help him with it, right?
yeah.
He can't be the only decent cop on the force in this version. So,
Do you think
and
that's Chicago behind as well?
So this rooftop scene was actually filmed inside the Cardington airship hangars in Bedfordshire, England, but the location is meant to be the same one that we saw Gordon at the police station earlier in the movie when Bruce held the stapler to the back of his head. And that was filmed at 235 West Lake Street in Chicago. But in The Dark Knight, they filmed on the top of the old Chicago post office, which is located at 433 West Van Buren Street in downtown Chicago.
obviously the Joker. I really like the way they did this too. Like it's like a setup for the next movie without it feeling like, oh, the movie didn't really end, if you know what I mean.
Nolan claims that this is not a setup for the next movie.
What?
Yeah.
Well, I think
He
Nolan's a liar.
he said it's not a hook for the next movie. He said this is just a cool way to end this movie to give you.
I
He
call
said
bullshit on this.
he basically said this is world building to let you know that like just because the movie ends, the story goes on, and there's a larger world out there and more villains and all this sort of stuff. He said it was just a cool way to end the movie. He said that when he did this, he had no intention of making a sequel. He'd not decided to do it.
Yeah, I don't believe that either. Nolan absolutely cannot play the fool here.
I don't believe that Nolan and Goya, they put so much thought into the story of this film, planning everything out meticulously, that they would do this and tease the Joker. Even though you're not seeing the Joker, they are putting down in stone certain things about this new Joker, right? By saying that he leaves a calling card, like he leaves a card at the scene of a crime. You're also really you're saying that there's no origin to this Joker either. You're laying that down in stone right then and there because he's already existing. He's already out there as the Joker, and there's been no origin like there was in '89. So these are big things that Nolan and Goyer are committing to. And I don't believe that they would commit to those big story beats if they didn't really consider what their Joker would be in the next film. They must have had some deep discussions about Joker, even at this point, to decide those things, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking as well.
I'm going to have to agree with you guys on this. Yes, it is a fantastic ending to the film, but in my opinion, it is a clear sequel setup.
Yeah.
And the fact that the sequel does follow on from this as well sort of validates that. Because if the second film hadn't have been the Joker, and if the second film hadn't have been about a Joker with no origin who wasn't leaving a calling card at the scene, if that hadn't have happened and we'd had the Riddler or someone instead, then obviously Nolan would have been correct with what he said. But he sort of invalidates what he's saying with the sequel. But he said, "Well, I never planned all that." It's like, I don't believe you, man.
Yeah.
This is a theme in the comics and in deleted material from Batman Forever that Batman is doing more harm than good, that he's inspiring ever increasingly bizarre and dangerous criminality. Escalation. Do
Yeah.
you think that there's validity in that assertion?
Ooh, I could see that.
You don't get this in any other city, do you? You don't get it in Chicago or New York. You just get it in Gotham all the time. This rogues gallery of supervillains. You could say it's a coincidence that just weeks after Batman appears in Gotham, this very theatrical character fighting criminals, that this guy dresses up as a clown. It could be a coincidence, but I don't think so. I think the Joker is a direct response to Batman.
Yeah.
Would there be a Joker if Bruce hadn't started dressing like a bat?
Yeah. Yeah,
It's an
'cause
interesting thought, isn't it?
man, that is interesting. That would tear him up, man, wouldn't it, to think of that?
We talked about how this version of Batman wants to retire, and we feel that that's naive because we know, as comic book fans, that Batman has this incredible rogues gallery of supervillains. And so you're gonna have someone like Joker come along, and then Bane, and then if there had been a fourth movie, maybe Riddler or whoever, right? So you're gonna have an endless stream of costume freaks.
Yeah.
It is a reaction to Batman's presence, I would say.
It does seem, yeah. I mean, I could totally see that, right? Because it's inspirational because he has so much power as well. And obviously, these people desire power to some extent in various different ways.
I still feel like the good that Batman does far outweighs any of those negatives because, I mean, we've just seen him save the entire city. If the side effect of him saving an entire city is that you've now got this madman dressing up as a clown, still in the plus column for Batman, I say.
That's true. Very, very true.
The way this movie ends, it leaves us with the promise of unlimited potential. The
Yeah,
feeling that the series could go on for many, many films. Would you agree?
I definitely think that. Yeah, when he's like, "Oh, you won't ever have to thank me," opening up for the whole universe, basically.
Yeah,
I saw it like the James Bond series, that there would be movie 4, 5, 6, 7. One day Nolan would leave and another director would come on and continue the series. Like Joel Schumacher came on and continued after Tim Burton was fired. One day Christian Bale would leave and we'd get a new actor. That's how I saw it going. Like the original Batman series.
yeah.
I love the way it ends.
It is a great ending.
So freaking cool.
Any thoughts on the design of the credits?
It's very Nolan. It always looks a bit like that, doesn't it?
Very different than the Marvel film. They will spend quite a lot of money and resources creating elaborate end credits.
That's true. I think maybe doing something a little interesting it doesn't hurt, in my opinion. I understand like the budget, saving all that and not wanting to do something elaborate, but doing something at least a little interesting.
But of course, Marvel know that the audience is going to sit through the credits because they're waiting for that post movie hook for the next Marvel ride.
I think that's why I'm not a big fan of that, actually, personally, because it does feel like a waste of time. I've done it before when you do that, and then you're like, oh man, I'm waiting. And you don't really know if anything's going to happen or not. The only way to know is because other people are also sat down.
I've sat there that long in the movie theater. I just want to get up, stretch my legs,
Exactly.
visit the bathroom. I resent that,
I
but
resent it too.
To be honest, I don't really watch credits. Do
no, I'm
you?
I'm straight up and out. But then,
Yeah,
if something cool was happening, I would. Have you ever seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
I have.
The credits are going, but the film's still going, and then you see like that guy that was after him from the school. I think he's still having a nightmare of a day.
Yeah.
Right at the very end, it like Ferris pokes his head out of the shower, and he's like, and he talks directly to the audience, and he's like, "You're still here?" He's like, "What are you doing here? Go home." I thought that was funny.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, my grandma actually forces me to sit through the credits when we go to the movies. She loves to see everybody who was in it. There's something interesting could help credits, but no,
Yeah.
it's not mandatory.
Oh no.
Because most audiences aren't going to sit through the credits, and even when we're at home watching it on streaming, we don't watch the credits either. I mean, nowadays you don't even get to watch the credits. Like whatever streaming service you watch it on will just force the next thing to play in like 10 seconds.
Sometimes you watch a great movie and you sit there and it's ended and you're just sitting there letting it sink in, and it'd be cool, I feel like, if you had some kind of imagery going on while the credits are going. Not because you're waiting for an after scene credit, but just because the imagery is reminding you about various scenes and various cool things
Oh,
you've
yeah,
seen.
okay, yeah. Nolan's old school, right? Like he's like, movies ended, go home
Yeah.
kind of thing,
Yeah,
right? It's
go home. When you think about the history of this film, what it did for the comic book movie, I think we do have a lot to thank Nolan for. He didn't invent the more grounded comic book movie. I would say Richard Donner did that with Superman the movie. And then Stephen Norrington and Bryan Singer returned to that kind of verisimilitude with their movies. But
Yeah.
Nolan specifically rescued Batman from his campy neon abyss.
he did, yeah. Well
So I'm
worded,
very
well worded.
thankful,
I agree with that.
very
Yeah,
thankful
because
for that.
yeah,
I'm thankful for that as well.
he literally popularized Batman again from being like something that everyone didn't want anything to do with for a while, thanks to the campiness, like you said.
Batman Begins earned approximately 375 million worldwide against a $150 million budget.
Oh.
Now, if we apply the formula of 2.5, so that's 2.5 times the budget to break even, that means that this film broke even. Exactly.
Oh dear.
So that means it wasn't a hit,
So it was not a success.
nor
then.
was it a flop.
Yeah, but I mean that would be considered definitely a failure then, right? Well, not a failure. I guess you wouldn't say it's a failure, but it's not really a success then, essentially, because they don't make movies to break even, right? They make
No,
movies so
they make
a lot of
a profit, yeah.
Oh man.
It's a little upsetting to hear because this is a good movie, but I can see why people would be so hesitant to see this, after Batman and Robin.
Yep.
I don't know if people were jumping to go see another Batman movie. So I can see why this movie just broke even. But again, it is disappointing to hear.
Adjusted for inflation, this movie sits above Batman and Robin and Batman Returns, but below
Really? I never thought it would sit above Batman Returns. Interesting.
Batman Returns made money, but it was so much less than the first movie, the '89 movie. It's why
It,
Warner Brothers fired Tim Burton. There was the whole thing with McDonald's, that there was the thing with Mothers in
Yeah.
America, and then there was the box office was so much less. Yes, it was successful and profitable, but it was just so much less. They expected so much more from it. But Batman Forever made more money than this movie.
Huh.
oh wow. Hello, Batman Forever.
Batman Forever was actually a big hit. Not as big as '89, because '89 was a juggernaut, but Batman Forever was very, very successful. Audience loved it in 1995. They really did. The year after this movie came out, Superman Returns came out, and that movie made more money than Batman Begins, but Batman Begins cost less to make. And more importantly, Batman Begins was well received, whereas Superman Returns was not. It was more mixed.
Yeah.
That's why Superman Returns didn't get a sequel, but Batman Begins did, because Batman Begins established a solid foundation to build upon.
Yeah, yeah. But that's the thing though, right? I feel like the benefits of this movie from a business point of view, right? Let's just forget about the fact that it's a great movie for a second. It is huge because, like you just said, like it rescued Batman as a series. A lot of people watch this movie after the cinema in various different ways.
Word of mouth spread, and it was really big on DVD.
Did
I
really well on
backed
DVD, man.
HD DVD back then, and,
You did, yeah. I remember you having a
and I
HD DVD player.
and I purchased this movie on HD DVD.
Do you still have it, by the way, on HD DVD? Do you still have
No,
it?
I threw it
Oh
all
man,
away. Yeah,
That would have been awesome. You could have shown it off on the podcast and stuff. It would have been cool.
I know. I regret that.
you should have kept it.
Should have kept it for the novelty.
You should have done, yeah. Because like you'd never ever see HD DVD anywhere now, right? If you go into like any kind of even like a second-hand shop or whatever, because obviously no one bought it. But I remember you having that little drive for your Xbox 360. I remember you buying it.
Yep, the add-on.
Yeah, yeah, because you really wanted to support it and everything. I should have done it too as well, looking back. I was
Yeah,
way
you
more
too
broke
could have
back then, though.
wasted your money.
I could have wasted my money as well. Because it repopularized Batman, because it made Batman cool again, even if it didn't make all the money. But the reason why Dark Knight did well, I would say, is because of this movie that kind of brought it back again, right? I'm not sure Dark Knight would have had the same impact if it had come from cold.
Roger Ebert, the famous US film critic,
He's a tough cookie to crack.
this is a partial quote of what he said in his review of this movie. He said, Batman Begins at last penetrates to the dark and troubled depths of the Batman legend, creating a superhero who, if not plausible, is at least persuasive as a man driven to dress like a bat and become a vigilante. This is at last the Batman movie I've been waiting for. After an 8-year hiatus, the Batman franchise has finally found its way. I said this is the Batman movie I've been waiting for. More correctly, this is the movie I did not realize I was waiting for because I didn't realize that more emphasis on story and character and less emphasis on high-tech action was just what was needed. The movie works dramatically in addition to being an entertainment.
Great review. That's fantastic. I think that's spot on.
He really liked this movie because I'm looking at it. He gave it 4 stars, his highest rating. And he was a scathing critic. I mean,
Yes, he famously did not like any of the other Batman movies that preceded this.
yeah, well, it was not just that. He hated a lot of famously well-liked movies.
Yeah.
He was hard. He was hard to crack. Good job,
Would you
Nolan.
like to know what James Gunn thinks of this movie?
No, not really, but I know you're gonna tell me anyways.
So James Gunn says he doesn't think Batman Begins is a classic or even really good. That was one of his tweets. It's like no one related to me is in this movie. 0 stars.
That is hilarious that he said that. That is embarrassing.
I think that was his honest opinion, and now he would be more filtered by what he says.
Yeah, he definitely will be more filtered now. Yeah, it's interesting to see a more unfiltered Gun, though, I suppose. But I mean, he's entitled to his opinion.
Yeah,
I guess. But
sure.
it's just seems way off.
But I haven't really met anyone that doesn't like Batman Begins. People that like comic book movies generally like Batman Begins, hold it in high esteem.
I agree.
I would say for most people, The Dark Knight is their favorite Batman movie of the trilogy. But for me, Batman Begins has always been my favorite. The better Batman movie.
Yeah, I agree. But I see why people might like, especially if somebody's not particularly a Batman fan. I could see how you might find Dark Knight more enjoyable if you're not bothered about that. I don't know.
I like Batman Begins because it puts Batman front and center.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really same as the
Yeah.
Batman. That like both those movies, it's
Oh,
all
yeah.
about Batman. Like he's the focus, and the villains serve Batman's story. Whereas in other movies, it feels like Batman takes a back seat in his own movie.
Exactly. It's definitely unapologetically Batman, right? Like the Batman as well, like you just said.
And Nolan said that he always found Batman the most interesting character psychologically than any of the Rogues Gallery, and I agree.
Yeah.
I've had a really good time doing this commentary in all
Yeah,
the
me too. Yeah, and I can't believe that we're wrapping it up now. It's kind of sad, but I've really enjoyed it though. Like there's been a lot pick apart so many parts of the movie that you might not have necessarily even noticed some of it and really drill down to and it's such a great movie as well, right?
It was a great movie to start with. Of if you was going to start a series of Batman film commentaries, I feel like this is probably the best choice to do it with. I mean, we chose this one because it was the 20th anniversary of the movie last year, but because it's dealing with Batman's origins, it's the ideal movie to begin with anyway, right? Literally, Batman Begins.
True. It's still crazy as well that it's now 21 years then since Batman Begins.
Yeah, it feels like it was just yesterday.
Yeah. I feel like for me, it feels like it was maybe 5 years ago or something like that. Maybe like 7 at the most. Oh, God. It's crazy, isn't it?
But you know what would be a good follow-up to Batman Begins for a film commentary?
What?
Now, you might be thinking at home The Dark Knight, but I'm thinking for Batman because this movie is Batman's year one. The Batman is his year two.
Ah, yeah.
So although it's a different film series, in a weird way, it's an interesting continuation, I feel like, because you're still with a new Batman, with the new movie now in production.
Yeah, and it'll be out
October next year.
2027, right? Okay.
So I feel like now would be a good time to start our commentary on the Batman. What do you think?
You know what? Sure, why not? Sounds good to me.
I think it makes sense though to do that next for sure. I think
Okay.
that'd be great. Oh man, it's super. I'm super excited for that as well.
Yeah, me too.
It would be good, right, to make sure that it's like before the Batman 2 as well. Like we could wrap it up before that.
Ooh,
That'd be.
that's
I don't
quite
know
an
if we'd be
ask
able to
though.
though.
It
I
took
know
us
because it's longer as
over a
well. It's a
year.
longer movie.
Yeah, it took us over a year to do this. So
Oh man, if we really had the time, of course we're not going to have the time because of the. But it'd be cool to do the Batman and then Penguin before
yeah.
before before the Batman 2. But I don't think we're going to get time for that.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. That was really good.
And thank you at home for listening all this time through 15 plus hours of content. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
See you
All
in the
right.
next one.
See ya.